So now that Jupiter is going exalted in the sign of Cancer, I think it's a great time for us to rejoice, because there's nothing as good in a kundli or in transits as an exalted Jupiter. And what I've noticed particularly is that exalted Jupiter does bring you a lot of chances and a lot of possibilities. And being able to tap into these possibilities is what truly matters to us. For me personally, now that I have gone through, I think, three or so cycles of Jupiter, I only remember two of them. I can, very, very creatively and very gratefully say that every time Jupiter has been in Cancer, it has really helped me in understanding myself, and it has really helped me in getting a very deeper knowledge of what I've been doing and what my life goal and what my life mission is. So, if we talk about Jupiter getting exalted for the last time before 2025, so that was almost 12 years ago, I was able to figure out life in a way that probably didn't work out for a lot of other people. I had greater interest in understanding Vedantic literature. Before that, as well, when Jupiter went into Cancer, again, I had this greater increased interest in Vedantic literature. Again, I met a lot of people during that time. They were really helpful, and they really opened my eyes as to what understanding of Vedant is. Now, I wouldn't call myself an expert in anything. I'm not. I can call myself a scholar at max, a beginner scholar, that is. But I have understood so many beautiful things every time Jupiter has been in Cancer. And, it has been a beautiful journey for me, though I don't really like this word journey because of how overused it is. And how much in it's used in a very wrong and very oversaturated context, but still. So during these years, I've noticed that at any time Jupiter is going exalted, I have had a higher understanding of who I am and where I want to go. And even this time, I have felt the very same thing. I have felt a higher understanding and a very deep calling towards Vedanta and Indian philosophy. Not that I have never had this thing before. I always had this, like, as far back as I can go in time. I know that I always had, a very marked interest in these things. I was always about mythology. I was always about Sanatan and Hindu philosophy, Indian religions and texts and dharma and this and this, and mostly Indian philosophy. And the first Indian philosophic type that I was exposed to was Vedanta. And this time, very specifically, I have felt a very deep pull, a deep tug towards understanding Vedant, and not just understanding, but also to broaden my horizons and to allow that broadened horizon to help other people. I have never really felt such a strong pull towards um, discussing philosophy or discussing things. I've never felt such a strong pull towards very strongly standing by my ideas and sharing what holistic astrology is all about. And this is for the first time that I have felt a very deep need to actually go out and be with people and meet people and have discussions about philosophy and religion and this, that. So, that has been going on, and Jupiter hasn't even gone into transit yet, right? Jupiter will do that on the 18th of October. But as you can usually see with larger planets, their effects are usually visible a month in advance. And for Jupiter, very specifically, what I've noticed is that the results will be visible at least 3 weeks in advance, very strongly. And then, as the closer it goes towards, the other sign, the next sign, the stronger the results start to get. So here is where we are. I think that all of us can use Jupiter exalted as an opportunity to realign themselves with their karma. And this has been a very ongoing theme with holistic astrology as well, about how to use our kundlis, how to use our birth chart as a means to align with our karma. The more we align with our karma, the better. The more we align with, the limitations and the boundaries we are born with, and use them to our advantage instead of seeing them as huge restrictions. I strongly believe we can be anything. Eventually, we all are a representation of one supreme thing. I mean, just as the heart cell and the blood cell, they both exist in the same ecosystem, the same organism. Similarly, we all are slightly different, but we all exist as a part of the same organism. That same supreme reality, the same supreme beatitude, or the same supreme God or energy, whatever you may want to call it. So, we are simply different manifestations of the same. And I think this is the right time to check what kind of limitations do we have on ourselves. And these limitations are obviously born because of our karma. So you'd want to, realign with those karmic tendencies. You'd like to realign with what our kundli is saying. And we would want to know where exactly do our boundaries lie and to what extent can we push those boundaries and how much can we truly flourish when we are within those boundaries. I would like to take a hot minute to discuss this because in recent years, at least as long as I've been alive, I've noticed this one thing, and especially very recently after the lockdowns, people have been trying to be too much, and they are trying to be too many things at the same time. Doesn't really work out. You want to be an astrologer, you'll have to work really hard to become an astrologer. You want to become a musician, you would have to work very hard to become a musician. You'll have to work very hard to become a musician. Now, can you be an astrologer and a musician? Absolutely, that is possible. However, these are two very different disciplines, and to master them both at the same time will take a huge toll on you. And since it's going to take a huge toll on you, it is always better for you to ensure that you have that kind of strength within you to, do all these things. So, I see a lot of people who are currently being pushed into several directions at once. Rahu is literally playing a huge part via social media. One day you're inspired by a beautiful artist who's painting really beautiful images. The other day you're inspired by somebody who's doing sketches. The other day you're inspired by somebody who paints their furniture really well. And I am a product of this generation, of this time, and I can tell you that I've also been inspired by looking at people painting their walls very beautifully. So, those oddly satisfying videos. I've been inspired by people washing their porches beautifully using pressure hoses and whatnot. So, it's very easy to get inspired because the mind is very impressionable. And this impressionable mind is in a position where it feels like, oh, I can do whatever, right? Because currently we live in a world where more people have the means to be whatever. And since you have the means, but not the time or the intention or the need to work on it, you simply buy whatever you need, you buy those hobby supplies, never to touch them again. So I think that the times that we are living in are truly confusing times, and Jupiter being exalted right now, especially as Saturn is also in Pisces and trying to wrap up its cycle, I think it is the right time for all of us, regardless of our rashis, regardless of our age, our gender, and where we are born and whatnot. I think it's the right time for us between 18th of October 2025 to around 31st October 2026. Jupiter will certainly be retrograding also for a little while, but still, this 1 year will be a great time to finally come to terms with who we are, finally understand who we are, and move in that particular direction. So Jupiter will give you multiplied blessings, but we don't want multiplied blessings in multiplied different subjects or multiplied different fields. We want multiplied blessings in the same field. So we want to, focus our energies very strongly on one part, and then we want that to multiply into several beautiful things instead of dabbling into several things at once, trying to become a musician and an astrologer and maybe a Vedantin at the same time, not giving it anything enough attention, and then not allowing yourself to be completely um, um, good at anything at all, if you are able to become good at all. Because anyway, yes, you're short of time, so please use this time to focus your energies. Please learn what your kundli actually says. Please try to align with that kundli, and please try to become somebody who doesn't hate themselves. Yeah, become somebody who doesn't hate themselves. I personally am going through a lot of changes. Like I have developed this very unusual interest in mehndi, and I want to wear a lot of chudis also, bangles, and I want to wear bindi also, and I want to adorn myself in clothes like these, this specific color. So things are changing within me. So you know what happens when things change within you, and when they are so spontaneous and they align with your kundli, you allow it to happen. You don't fight it. You don't cry about it. You don't create a fuss about it. You don't create a scene about it. You let it happen. If it makes you feel emotional every once in a while, so be it. If it makes you feel weird because maybe you wanted to be in a different direction, maybe you wanted to do something different, and maybe you had put in a lot of efforts in that direction as well, maybe you were too attached to that idea as well, still, you can feel bad about it. Yes, works, but allow it to happen nonetheless, because that is where your true happiness lies. That is where your true wealth also lies. That is where you can truly become who you are. So I am changing. I can see those changes happening in my eyes, in my voice, everything. And if these changes are happening with you as well, which I'm sure they are, I would request and advise you to follow along, not to fight them, and allow Jupiter, at least for the rest of this year, to change your life in ways that he wants to, because he will align you with your kundli. And if he doesn't, if it feels too much, you can always talk to me, no problem. But yes, he will allow you to become who you truly are, and you must not leave this opportunity, because ideally you will get this opportunity only once every 12 years. You don't want to miss it. Okay. All right then, bye bye, take care.